It's finally that time again where I talk about what's coming in the new season of Destiny 2, and there is quite a bit to talk about even though certain things got pushed back like the LFG finder, but there are still some substantial changes coming in Season 22, so let's start with the story that's going to be happening. A lot of it has remained under lock and key, but we know one thing is for certain, that Immaru is going to be coming back to the story, because Bungie has decided to release a TWAB, or TWID, whatever they're called nowadays, and basically we have an image of Immaru talking with Ikora, as well as some fancy new armor, which can only be assumed to be the Season 22 armor set. But because of those factors, we basically have confirmed that the entire season is going to be about the Witch Queen and also the Lucent Hive. What's that going to mean for the seasonal activities, i.e. like how we got Salvage and Deep Dives for Season of the Deep? I am not too sure, but my suspicion is still going to be that this season is going to be called Season of Deceit. Because if they don't do that, then they've missed out a trick on going for 3Ds this season so far, because we've had Defiance, Deep. If you go for Deceit, you can then follow it up with a 4th D, and then you get 4Ds across the entire season, and there you go. There's a trick for you. Next thing to talk about coming in Season 22 is the Reprised Raid, which will actually be coming out on September the 1st, the following Friday when the season comes out. And the favourite at the moment is Crota's End. Obviously, Crota's End wasn't exactly a full raid in the first Destiny, but the general consensus seems to be that it's going to be expanded on a little bit, so it does become a raid. But on top of that, there has also been talks of maybe the Leviathan coming back, which was a bit of an oddball out of nowhere. But also, there was talk before that of it being Wrath of the Machine as well, so to be honest, there is no concrete information on which one it will be, but Crota's End will fit the narrative because we are going to be doing Lucent Hive. Another big change for people who don't like Gambit, it is pretty much being removed from the seasonal challenges. Obviously, there'll still be a couple here and there, but it's definitely going to be reduced. But it is a nice change because a lot of the players don't play Gambit as a rule of thumb, so having more seasonal challenges that will affect the PvP and the PvE environments makes a lot more sense. Talking about PvP, however, we are going to have a new Vex theme map added to the playlist, and again, my opinion on that map was pretty much, it looks cool, but I don't see it being very good unless it's condensed. Like, if it's the same size as Disjunction, it's going to be absolutely awful, but if it's really tight and compact together, it could be a really interesting map to play on. There is also going to be some Strand Changes, with new aspects coming to the Warlocks, Titans and Hunters, where Weave Walk is for the Warlocks, Whirling Maelstrom for the Hunters, and Banner of War for Titans. To be completely honest, I don't see how any of these are going to actually work. I would like to think Banner of War would let Titans put some kind of banner down instead of their rally barricade, but you never know when it comes to Bungie. There was also a ton of changes that Bungie announced with Season 22 concerning abilities and armor, but the only one I'm really going to talk about is going to be the Strand Changes, because I feel like these are the things that are going to be affected the most. So at the moment, suspending targets will actually have them hanging for around 8 seconds, but that is going to be nerfed to 5 seconds in Season 22. And that's if it's a non-champion PvE combatant, so whether it's a minor or a major, you are going to have them suspended for 5 seconds across the board. Unless you're using Threaded Continuity, which now extends the duration to 7 seconds instead of 12. On top of this, if the combatant is a champion, it is going to be reduced from 8 seconds because it was kind of like a universal level, and that's going all the way down to 3 seconds, and if you're using Threaded Continuity, you can only bump it up to 4 seconds as a maximum value. As a kind of trade-off with this though, they are increasing the snap damage, which snap damage is basically the damage you deal with the grenade. That's getting increased by 67%, which is a fair bit of difference, to be honest with you. Of course, there is a lot more changes that come along with Strand, and I'm not going to go through every single one of these, otherwise we'll just be sat here forever. If you want to know about the changes in Season 22 concerning Strand or armor changes, the link is in the description below. A highly anticipated thing that's going to be coming as well is going to be the exotic mission rotator, and with Season 22 it is going to feature the Dead Man's Tail, which will actually be craftable for the first time. But that's not all, because apparently with these exotic mission rotators, the rotator will actually house previous seasonal armor, so this time it's going to be Season of the Haunted that's coming around, so if you missed out on the Season of the Haunted armor set, or even any of the weapons that are in it, like the Callous Mini Tool for example, not only will you be able to run the Dead Man's Tail exotic mission to get these weapons, you can also get the red borders for the weapons as well, which means you can then craft them. And of course you get the amazing skull helmets for every class, which, I mean, is probably one of the best pieces of armor Bungie has made in the last 10 seasons, I've got to say. But a very important note that I need to say when it comes to these exotic missions on the rotators is that you will require certain DLCs or certain seasons in order to play them. For example, Presage will require you to have Beyond Light or Season of the Chosen. Vox Obscura will require you to have Witch Queen or Season of the Risen. Operation Seraph's Shield will also require you to have the Witch Queen or Season of the Seraph. So whilst you can unlock the previous seasonal weapons and also the exotic weapon that is going to become craftable, you will require the existing DLC, because let's be honest with it, you aren't going to buy the season when the season has already gone. Which to me is kind of a good and a bad thing, because in a way you're bringing back the legacy armor sets from the other seasons that were really liked, which means you're avoiding sunsetting, but in the same breath, it means buying season passes are becoming a little less important. All it's pretty much allowing you to do now is play the seasonal content, which there isn't a lot of, and the seasonal armor is probably going to show up in the exotic mission rotator anyway at some point, so if you just want that, there's no point in buying the season. Could be completely wrong though, but by all means let me know in the comments below what you think of that. Next bit of news is we're going to talk about the new material changes. So they're actually going to be changing the caps for Ascendant shards, alloys, and also enhancement prisms. And before I say anything more, if you have more than the caps in your postmasters, do not worry, because it will not get deleted and you can just claim them as you go. So the new cap for Ascendant shards is going to be 30, Ascendant alloys is going to be 30, enhancement prisms is going to be 100. But when you actually hit these new caps, the items will no longer drop. So if you are actually trying to grind out these items, always keep an eye on your cap and make sure you are using them, otherwise you'll just be wasting your time. And the way I think this is going to work, if you already have enough that's exceeding the cap, so if you have over 100 enhancement prisms at the moment, then you'll probably not have any more drop for you until you go below 100 again. Let's go over the most recent thing that Bungie posted, which is the Season 22 Artifact Perks preview. Now, this literally came out yesterday, and I did have a very quick read through it, and it's some interesting changes, but nothing substantial is what I've gathered from this. So if you're wondering what the champion mods are going to be, we have the Anti-Barrier Auto Rifle, Piercing Bowstring, which is Anti-Barrier Bows, Unstoppable Scout Rifles, Overload Hand Cannons, Unstoppable Fusion Rifles, and the one that's later down the line will be Overload Machine Guns. And if you was a fan of the Arc/Strand Siphon combo when it came to build, then good news for you. It's also going to have the Solar Strand and Void Strand combinations coming in Season 22. And if you like the Origin perk specialization, guess what? It's coming back again. We have Head Rush Nanotech Tracer Rockets, Unsatiated Hunger, and some unknown Origin traits are all going to be boosted. It does say Redacted on it, but I'm assuming that is literally going to be this Season 22 Origin trait, so we just have to look forward to that. Or it could even be the Reprised raid stuff, we don't know yet. One perk in particular that's actually on the artifact is something called Diviner's Discount, and that allows all scavenger mods to be discounted, which I can only assume it drops their values to 1, which is really good when you consider that they normally cost 3 each, which pretty much eats up all the slots on the helmet. Another thing that's going to be really important to mention is a new addition of the perks as well, which are called Elemental Orbs. And the way that these are going to work is you pick them up pretty much as you would more or less any other orb, and when you throw them, they're going to explode in that element. So for example, if you throw a Void Orb, it's going to explode and make them volatile. If you throw an Arc Orb, it's going to explode and jolt them. And if you throw a Solar Orb, it is going to explode and then scorch them. In my eyes, I'm going to say the Arc version is probably going to be the best, because you can debuff from a Jolt, but you can't debuff from a Scorch or even a Volatile. Throwing on from the Elemental Orbs, however, there is also Elemental Munitions, and whenever you get a kill with Tangles or Elemental Orbs, there is a chance they will drop special or heavy ammo, which is going to be, again, very big for the day 1 raid runners. Another perk that could be really interesting is Elemental Embrace, which basically gives you bonus recovery and damage resistance against combatant attacks of the matching element type when you get a buff. So to give you an example of this, if you are running Void and you give yourself Devour, for example, you will then have a bonus recovery and also extra damage resistance against Void attacks. In the same breath, if you become supercharged with Arc, then you'll have a damage resistance to Arc, as well as have additional recovery on top of that. Something else that might just be a nice little addition, it's probably not going to be the main kind of addition, unless it's stacked by some surprising reason, is going to be something called Monochromatic Maestro. And what this does is if you deal elemental ability damage, it also increases your weapon damage, which matches the same element. And the bonus granted is 10% for 5 seconds. So let's say you throw a Void Grenade and you're using a Void weapon, you will have 10% extra damage on that Void weapon. Now the reason I'm saying this might be a good thing is because if you use something that gives you Radiant or something along those lines, then it's going to be a bigger damage boost, so this is pointless. However, if this actually stacks on top of those weapons, then it could be a game changer, because you pretty much then have a even bigger damage boost. This is something that's going to have to be tested when Season 22 comes out, but here's hoping. Apart from that, there's not really that many other mods that I find interesting. If you want to read the whole list yourself, then the link is in the description as well. I think that's going to be it for the Season 22 roundup, because we've gone over a lot. Again, unfortunately, the LFG Finder was pushed back to Season 23. It's just how it is. But there is still a lot to look forward to in Season 22 if everything goes to plan. But that's going to be everything for me. Let me know what you think down in the comments below if you're excited for Season 22 or not. I'm so looking forward to seeing what the reveal trailer is on the 22nd. I'm probably going to do a reaction video to it if I'm completely honest, so look forward to that. But as always, remember to leave a like and subscribe down below. But I shall see you all in the next video.